A husband has forbidden a mother who has given birth to 44 children from having any more children. Mariam Nebutanzi gave birth to twins a year after she was married off at the age of 12. Mariam Nebutanzi gave birth to 38 children after learning that there were 5 more sets of twins, 4 sets of triplets, and 5 sets of quadruplets. Sadly, 6 of them died as a result of her unnaturally large ovaries. Her husband left her 3 years ago, leaving her to care for their 38 children on her own. She'd now turned 39 years old and lives in Uganda by herself. As a direct consequence, her family has been trapped in poverty. Her and her children live in a village surrounded by coffee fields 31 miles north of Kampala in 4 small cement block cottages with thatched roofs in a village encircled by coffee fields. Mariam is now 40 years old, and doctors have gotten involved to dissuade her from having any more children. She asserted the doctor told her he had cut her uterus from the inside. Following the birth of her first set of twins, she began an ongoing series of pregnancies that would last for years. When she went to the doctor, it was noticed that her ovaries were abnormally large, which was concerning. He warned her that birth control pills, for example, could be harmful to her health. Despite this, the children continued to pour in. According to the World Bank, the average family size in Africa is the largest it's ever been, with a fertility rate of 5.6 children per woman on average, making it one of the highest on the continent and more than twice as high as the worldwide average. Her 38-child family, on the other hand, is one of the country's largest. According to Dr. Charles Kagunda of Maglago Hospital in Kampala, Uganda, the most likely cause of Nebutanzi's extraordinary fertility is inherited. She has a genetic predisposition to hyperovulate, which means she releases a large number of eggs in a single cycle, increasing her chances of having multiple births significantly. He believes that it's usually genetic in nature. Her previous pregnancy, which took place 3 years ago, was difficult. The twins were her 6th set of twins, and one of them ended up dead shortly after birth, making her 6th child to die. Her spouse then decided to abandon her after being missing for a long period of time. In the family, his maiden name has become a curse. Nebutanzi refers to him and he describes him with an exclamation. The woman, who spoke with her hands clutched as tears, eyes glistened in her eyes during an interview at home, said that she's grown up in tears and her man has put her through a lifetime of suffering. Every single moment has been spent caring for her children and working to support her family, leaving her with no choice but to turn to every possible source of revenue. Nebutanzi tries everything from hairdressing and event decoration to collecting and selling scrap metal to producing local gin and selling herbal medication, food, medical care, clothing, and school fees. She has photos of her children who have graduated from high school hanging on a dingy wall in one of her home's rooms with gold tinsel around their necks. Ivan Kabuka, her eldest child, was forced to drop out of secondary school after the family's financial resources were drained. Mom is overworked and the job is killing her day by day. They supported her whenever they could, such as with cooking and laundry, and yet she still carries the entire family burden, he added. He feels bad for her. Nebutanzi's desire for a large family stems from a tragic event in her life. Nebutanzi's mother left the family 3 days after her birth, leaving her father, the newborn child, and her 5 siblings to fend for themselves. While the rest of the family went about their daily activities, the tattered children played on the dirt floor, and the woman reflected on their mother's withdrawal. Just after her father's remarriage, her stepmother poisoned her father's 5 older children by mixing pulverized glass into their food and feeding it to them. They were all murdered. Nebutanzi claimed she was able to flee due to a visit to a relative. She was 7 years old at the time, and she was too young to understand what it truly meant to die. Family members informed her of what had happened, she explained. She started out wanting to have 6 children in order to rebuild her family after it had been shattered. Providing a home for 38 children is a constant challenge. 12 children sleep on the metal bunk beds with flimsy mattresses on the floor in a small room with grime-caked walls. The lucky kids sleep on a shared mattress in other rooms, while the rest of the kids sleep on the dirt floor beneath their bunks. If they made the following observation, social media would react in a number of different ways. In every meaning of the phrase, she's a genuine heroine. She should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. Furthermore, the Ugandan president should take responsibility for the entire family. Happiness must be documented in history because only God has the ability to do so. She will almost certainly be brought up as a point of discussion when discussing Uganda's history. This is extremely unusual in the world. Congratulations! Hopefully, God will keep providing for you and your family. Natasha Ibrahim expressed her thoughts on the matter, and she asked Allah to bless her and her family. She was barely able to keep her head above water with her single pregnancy. She loved the fact that she's always on time. This is such a blessing. Marianne Delaney had this to say, "She's really amazing and her children are in good health. They should indeed, however, be able to receive financial assistance. Although early marriage should be legalized, the laws must be changed. God's richest blessings on them and their family." Jay's thoughts on the Sith are as follows. "They don't have any majesty in my opinion. Can they give their children a good life? If we don't have the right to ruin someone's childhood or future, it doesn't end when they're born. I feel terrible for those kids." A woman who's given birth to 17 children expressed a desire for more. According to a recent viral story post, a woman who's given birth to 17 children has expressed a desire to have more children. In an interview with BBC News 1, the 47-year-old woman mentioned that her pregnancies have always been pretty straightforward and that only one of her children was born via surgery. Jumai has only ever been to the hospital twice to give birth. In terms of the total number of deliveries she's had, the remainder of the times were delivered to the customer's home. 7 of the children had died, leaving 5 girls and 5 boys alive, according to the mother. When she tells people how many children she has, they're always taken aback. What exactly is ovulation? According to the mother, who married at the age of 14, ovulation is the release of a mature female egg cell from the ovary once per menstrual cycle, which is usually followed by a period of infertility. After being released from the egg cycle can live for up to 24 hours. If the egg cell does not become fertilized, it dies, and the menstrual cycle advances to the next stage. When will she be able to have a child? Ovulation takes place at the end of the first phase of the menstrual cycle, which commonly happens 2 weeks after your period. However, this varies greatly between women. The release of an egg occurs in conjunction with ovulation. With such a wide range of outcomes, this information cannot be used to prevent pregnancy on its own. Understanding your menstrual cycle, on the other hand, is a great place to start when it comes to acknowledging ovulation. What exactly is the meaning of hyperovulation? In some cycles, both ovaries release an egg cell, a condition known as hyperovulation, also known as multiple ovulation. In the same way, hyperovulation happens within 24 hours of the first egg cell being released from the ovaries. Unless otherwise specified, progesterone levels begin to rise after this period, preventing ovulation from happening again. Genetics, medical issues, and fertility treatment are all thought to be involved in the development of hyperovulation. Furthermore, if you've recently discontinued hormonal birth control, you may be experienced repeated ovulation. During certain cycles, it's possible that you will not ovulate at all. This is known as ovulation tracking your ovulation, and fertility, being able to detect ovulation and recognize it when it takes place during the menstrual cycle, is essential for fertility. An age-old method has been made use of it. It can be used to benefit current methods and new technology. With this knowledge, it's possible to either prevent or plan a pregnancy because the fertile window reveals the best time to conceive or to use birth control to avoid becoming pregnant in the first place. Fertility tracking entails far more than simply determining when a woman's reproductive window is open. Other factors, such as the length of the menstrual cycle and sperm survival, must be considered in order to achieve success. There is a misunderstanding about the menstrual cycle. If you want to learn more about how your body works during the menstrual cycle, you can go to the Cycle Matters Hub, which has a great deal of information about women's health.